Hello, everyone. The big question on everybody's mind is, will the DC housing market crash? Everybody keeps saying it's going to. I have not wanted to do this video, but all this talk of a crashing housing market in Metro DC is pervasive. It has been mind-blowing watching reputable news outlets, or what I thought were reputable news outlets, succumb one after the next to the pressure to report a housing market disaster. Somebody reported a crash? Oh my God, we have to report the crash. Get the widow on the set. We need dirty laundry. Thanks, Don Henley. You nailed it. You nailed it in the 80s, and it's still happening. All right, so now that we are well into the spring real estate market here in DC, we've got more data and interesting things are happening. You need to know about these interesting things, and I'm going to tell you real stories from the front lines. I am Melissa Terzis, DC Real Estate Mama. You guys know this drill. If you subscribe, you'll get notification of my new videos. It helps me out too, so that's very good. And then, what else do I want to tell you? I write this all myself. Like, I'm not using AI. I'm not copying off other people and all of that stuff. So you should know that. And I just decide what would I want to know if I was moving here, and here we go. So first, let's talk real numbers, you guys. Now versus a year ago. Are you ready? In Washington, DC, new listings last month were down 9.2% from last year. In Arlington, Virginia, new listings last month were down 12.6% from last year. In the city of Alexandria, new listings last month down 2.5% from last year. In Fairfax County, Virginia, new listings last month were down 3.2% from last year. This is not price I'm talking about, you guys, number of listings. Montgomery County, Maryland, new listings last month were up from last year, 2.3%. They can't judge that one the way that you might judge the others. Montgomery County goes very far north, and so that's a different market than what we have closer in suburban DC. So the region's MLS had this to say: more inventory and softer price growth would be welcome changes for prospective buyers in the market this spring. What we need here are more homes for sale. That's what MLS is saying, and we're getting less, as reported directly from these numbers. Okay, so why was there a viral spread of information graphics showing all of these alleged homes for sale in the DC area? You know why. It's great news. Trump and Elon's Department of Government Efficiency setting the place on freaking fire makes a great headline. All right, now that was last month. Now we're going to focus on the present and the near future, because that's the only part that we can hopefully control and participate in. The numbers being released as we start to move into the true spring selling season are very telling. Now we have an uptick in listings compared to last year. Oh my God, Melissa, what did you just say? You said new listings were down. Now they aren't. Why are the numbers suddenly going up for new listings? All right, hello, you guys, it's spring. This happens every March. Attributing this increase in listings to the federal layoffs is like disingenuous. I was trying to come up with a great analogy. I just couldn't come up with one. It's just disingenuous. More homes for sale in March versus February, that's typical every year here. Also, the past few years have been anything but normal. Last year, there was very little activity in both new listings and closed sales. Everybody was holding tight because of rising mortgage rates. So comparing this year to last year to illustrate some type of trend really doesn't hold a lot of merit. And anybody who had held out from selling last year is probably now selling this year. They just can't wait if life goes on and they've got to make changes. Along with the people who are already going to sell this year, that's why we've got like a little bit of like the pent up supply coming in. It's not enough, though. You're going to hear about that in a hot second. So this year, we also had an unseasonably cold winter. It was unrelenting. A couple snowstorms, but more significant were the almost 3 straight months of temperatures in the single digits to the teens. When it takes your car longer to warm up than it does to tour a house, people were deciding to hold off. So anyway, we're finally back into the 40s and 50s today. We might even get to the 60s. School year is getting ready to wind down in a few months, and this is another reason why there suddenly seems to be a pop of listings now in March. So just when we thought the uncertainty of the last couple years would come to an end, when buyers finally realized mortgage rates weren't going to go back down, life kept happening to people, resulting in new and different housing needs, we were primed for a busy and competitive spring real estate market in the DC metro area. And what did we get? We got a busy and competitive spring real estate market in the DC metro area. So what I tell you guys is always 100% rooted in reality. What I see on the front lines, what my clients are experiencing, this is what I share with you. DC has always been a metro area of micro markets. What is happening in one neighborhood may not be happening in the next neighborhood. And I always said the pie cools from the outside in, right? Except that that changed during COVID. So the exurbs were usually the places that cooled off first. Their markets were the first to soften. Of course, that all went sideways during COVID, right? So the center of the pie like froze and the outsides were hot because everyone wanted to get out of Dodge and out of the city. The reality inside the city limits of DC is that things have been sluggish for a couple of years. There has finally been movement in the condo market. If a condo or house is priced right, it sells. But any graphics showing DC lit up on fire with sale signs isn't a new thing. Also, please keep in mind, we have very dense living here. If there are a few condos for sale in a building of 500 condos, then yes, there's going to be a lot of dots in that block because they all have to stick their little dot on the map to show that that property is for sale, and they're all on top of each other. So our map in DC, it really doesn't look much different than other cities, you guys. All right, now I want to tell you stories from the front lines because this is the favorite part. In Vienna, Virginia, this is the reality right now. There are 7 to 10 buyers for every home. My clients submitted an offer on a $1.3 million center hall colonial with dirty wall-to-wall carpet, original windows, and 1980s bathrooms with vanities so low we were temporarily transported back to preschool again. The email response from the listing agent: thank you for your offer. There were 8 other offers, and this home is under contract well over the asking price with no contingencies. Okay, let me just explain what no contingencies means. The winning bidder waived home inspection. They put their deposit at risk to buy this home, and they were not the only one. The listing agent said that 5 of the 8 offers fully waived all contingencies. That means the second the ink is signed and gone, it's not even dry, and you are locked in. In West Springfield, Virginia, this is the reality right now. My clients were waiting for a home in coming soon status to go active so that we could tour it. Once a home is in coming soon, it cannot be shown per our MLS rules. Violate them, and you risk a $5,000 fine. The house went straight to pending. There was nothing special about this house. Another center hall colonial for $800,000. When I called the agent to find out what happened, she said somebody wrote an all-cash, non-contingent offer, sight unseen. In Bethesda, Maryland, this is the reality right now. A house with a gas leak had multiple offers. In Arlington, Virginia, this is the reality right now. A house was listed for $1.4 million. There were 6 inspections before the offer. This is called a pre-inspection here. And it's common on the most desirable houses. The house went under contract more than $100,000 over list price. In Burke, Virginia, this is the reality right now. Homes are selling for $100,000 over asking to cash buyers. I toured a home that was greatly in need of work, just to even make this thing habitable. And they had 2 offers just 12 hours on the market, and one of them was cash. So let's think about this critically for a second, you guys. You work for the government. You have a steady job. You've been there 10, 20 years. Trump and Elon cruise into town and they start willy-nilly firing people. You're gone, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone. Some people who were fired actually got called back 2 days later. Other people were fired before their agency was even told to start cutting staff. Everybody's operating right now in like a panic mode. So for those of us here in the middle of all of it, there is one thing that we can all say for certain. When it comes to the federal layoffs, nobody has any idea what the is going on. All right, so are people making major life decisions like selling their houses and fleeing the DC area? No, not that I've seen from this vantage point so far. Are the sellers giving up their cushy 3% mortgage rates that they got? Also no. And if they did get laid off, are they going to just sell their house, pull their kids out of school, and go rent somewhere else until they can get another job? No, because unless you're going to move in with family, doing this isn't going to solve any problems either, and it's just going to create new ones. You still need a job and to prove income to go rent from somebody. You also need income to go buy a house, unless you happen to sell yours for cash and you can go somewhere else. You have a house now, you have contacts here, you will find another job. There is reason to believe that for many, many of these people. So this is what is happening on the front lines. Yes, listings are now finally increasing, but there's no exodus, as there's still up to 8 buyers for every house in many areas. We are back to what we would call a normal spring market in the DC metro area, as it has been for the past decade. So I am Melissa Terzis. My contact info is coming next. Money.